In SOLIDWORKS, a sweep feature is basically composed of a profile and a path. However, we can further define a sweep by including guide curves. Guide curves allow us to control how a profile will behave along its path. In this case, we'll be using a guide curve to control the taper of a sweep. To create a guide curve, I'll begin a sketch on the front plane. I'll draw a line at an angle to the path and dimension it from a center line. This will be the taper angle. One important thing to note when creating guide curves is that the guide curve must always intersect the sweep profile. To do this, I'll add a pierce relation between the guide curve and the profile. Another thing I wish to point out is that since we're going to be adjusting the size of the profile cannot be dimensioned to a specific size, and instead must be left undefined. With the guide curve created, we can go back and edit the sweep feature and select the guide curve. We can immediately see a preview as the profile tapers along the path. I'll click the green check to complete the feature. And at this point, to edit the taper angle, all we need to do is edit the guide curve sketch. This is the functionality we expect. A sweep, however, is usually not defined by a straight line, but more commonly follows a nonlinear path. In this example, we have a profile that we wish to sweep and taper along this arc. But how do we define a guide curve in this situation? Notice what happens if I take the same approach as before. I'll begin a sketch on the front plane, draw a line, and dimension it from a center line. You can immediately see that the guide curve will not taper along the path. I'll go ahead and define a sweep feature. And you can see that this is not exactly what we're looking for. To have the same functionality as in the previous example, we need to have a guide curve that tapers in relation to the path. To do this, I'll first create a surface extruded from the path sketch. The extrusion depth doesn't really matter, it just needs to be wide enough for the guide curve. This looks about right, so I'll click OK. The next step is to project the angled sketch line onto the surface. I'll insert a projected curve, select the sketch, then the surface. Once the preview looks correct, I'll click OK to add the curve. Now keep in mind that this surface is merely used for construction purposes and cannot be deleted, but it can be hidden. I'll hide the surface, and now we can clearly see the profile, path, and guide curve. This time, when I create the sweep, the result looks exactly as expected. Furthermore, I can edit the angled sketch line to adjust the taper angle.